Breaking news, we now have an official plan by Donald Trump to lower the cost of housing in America. This is probably going to be one of the biggest stories in 2025 because at the end of the day, we all know that housing has become unaffordable for Americans. 76% of Americans believe that housing is unaffordable. And then you pair that with the lack of homes being built, that's what creates a housing crisis. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what's being proposed by the Trump administration because this could mean over 4 million new homes hitting the American market. But before we get into this video, make sure that you smash that like and subscribe button so this video gets out to more people so everyone can stay informed about this massive proposed plan to build more homes in America. The US government has announced a new plan to build affordable housing on federal land across the country, promising to bring to life one of several ideas Donald Trump floated as a solution to the ongoing housing affordability crisis during his presidential campaign. So I'm going to break this down into 3 very important parts that you do not want to miss. Now we will start at number 3 and work our way down to number 1 of the proposed plan to make housing affordable in America. So jumping into part number 3, building codes must change. So to break this down the fastest way that I possibly can, Trump wants to rescind the Biden administration's model energy building codes. Let's just call them what they are. The Biden building codes literally are estimated to add more than $31,000 in additional building costs to new homes. Now this was created so that homes could qualify for federally backed mortgages. That was the entire purpose. So if you wanted to be a federally backed mortgage, then you had to comply with this building code. Now the Biden administration's entire thought process behind this is to make homes more environmentally friendly because of climate change. Now the $31,000 in additional costs to make your home energy efficient, those costs don't stop at the home only. They are also applied to make everything in your home energy efficient. So we're talking about water heaters, central air conditioners, dishwashers, light bulbs, faucets, showers, everything needed to be energy efficient. So Trump believes that by rescinding the Biden administration model energy codes, he's going to save building costs over $31,000 per home, which is significant. Now let's move on to part number 2. Less regulation is needed. This is Trump's favorite thing. He wants to deregulate everything. And I'm going to keep it 100. Some things he's not wrong about. Trump wrote this exact phrase in the executive order. He stated, many Americans are unable to purchase homes due to historically high prices, in part due to regulatory requirements that alone account for 25% of the cost of constructing a new home, according to recent analysis. And I'll have to say, he's not lying. Now, we'll have to be honest, this wasn't all just Biden. And let's pull up the article right here where it states, the recent analysis cited by Trump's executive action echoes data from the National Association of Home Builders released in May of 2021, less than 4 months after Trump left office for the first time. The study found that regulations imposed by all levels of government at the time accounted for $93,000 or 23.8% of the then average sales price of a new single-family home, $397,000. The median sales price for a new home for sale in November of 2024. And the latest data available was $402,000 according to the US Census Bureau. Now wait for it, Biden's still not safe, okay? Because a separate NAHB study published in 2022 found that regulations increased the development cost of building multifamily housing by about 40.6%. The NAHB has lobbied against what it calls expensive regulations around building homes. Well, duh, if you're wondering why the cost of building a home skyrocketed, here's your answer. I want to give a special shout out to all my beasters out there that are working hard to fix their credit using Dispute Beast, the most advanced AI credit repair software ever created, and specifically to Wesley, Wesley's credit score went up over 226 points after just 2 rounds with Dispute Beast, and also Marcus's credit score went up 337 points after just 2 rounds with Dispute Beast, and let's not forget Richard's credit score went up 446 points after just 1 round with Dispute Beast. Dispute Beast is going to be pinned at the very top of the comments and in the video description for anybody that needs to fix their credit. Last part's the most important. But then now let's fast forward to 2024, and everyone's talking about tariffs, and there's economists and all kinds of opinions out there stating that these tariffs are going to add additional costs to building homes because we get lumber from Canada and steel is also imported from China and Canada. So if you hit China and Canada with 25% tariffs, then even if we reduce regulations, we're still gonna have to push that 25% tariff onto home building. So it's literally like a tug of war that's just not gonna win. We wanna get rid of the Biden era, but then we're gonna push the tariffs that are going to also drive the cost of building homes up. Now let's move on to the biggest one that you've been waiting for, part one. The Trump administration wants to build housing on federal land. Let's put the actual slide up on the screen that shows you all of the protected areas database by the United States. 28% of land in America is owned by the US government. You know, all the military bases, national parks, fish and wildlife, and those conservational lands also. But take a look at this map so you can see exactly where all of this owned federal land sits. It's all heavily on the West Coast. You don't see a lot of it on the East Coast, the Midwest, none of that. It's heavily on the West Coast. So who out there wants to live on the West Coast on federally backed land? That's a really good question because everybody talks trash about California, but that's where all the federal land is pointing to. California, Nevada, Arizona. We're also talking about New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon. All of this federally backed land is on the West Coast. So the Trump administration is actively setting up a task force to locate federal land that could be potentially used for affordable housing development. But here's the kicker. This federal land would be leased or sold to local governments. I mean, it sounds great, doesn't it? Because you can literally potentially, now remember, potentially add anywhere from 3 to 4 million new homes in America. But the big question is, yeah, this sounds great, but how much of this land in the United States is actually buildable? Because remember, this is federally backed land. There's nothing there. A lot of these places have no roads, no plumbing, no utilities. There's literally nothing there. How many people want to live in the middle of the desert? How many people want to live in the middle of the woods? There's literally no infrastructure for any of this land. So tell me in the comments, let's keep it 100 with each other. You as an American, would you be willing to live in a remote area that was very rural and didn't have very much of anything if the housing was affordable? Let's put the map back up on the screen right here that's showing all of the federal land again. This all sounds great and all, but how many people are also going to be willing to move to the West Coast? But also think of it like this. The United States government will rent out these lands and still own and control what can actually happen on that land. So it leaves me with the final question. If it's federally leased land to state and local areas, will the homeowner truly ever own that land and that home? And if you're asking the big question, well, how long is this gonna take? I mean, just to see if the land is actually buildable, that's gonna be 1 to 2 years at minimum. Because let's be honest, the federal government doesn't move fast at anything they do. I mean, they're moving slightly faster now, but they're still not gonna move very fast to figure out where to develop lands and where to develop housing, and then they have to figure out the logistics of how they're going to do this with those local state governments. So tell me in the comments, do you think this makes sense? Do you think the Trump administration can truly save the housing market economy and make affordable housing again? So I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered another big one on how the Trump administration is trying to create affordable housing in America. Now make sure that you watch this next video because it is about major changes to credit reports and credit scoring that you may want to learn more about. And if you felt that I brought you some value in this video, make sure that you don't forget and subscribe to increase your credit score.